That's a home run, by the way. You couldn't tell. What's happening, folks? Chef Matt Basile here again. As you can see, we are still on hiatus, having a blast because I love sandwiches, you love sandwiches, we all love sandwiches, and when you have time to kill during the day, you can make sandwiches that take however much time you need to be epic. So today's sandwich is a little throwback to a little Italian heritage. A little Italian heritage. Gonna do a little veal parm outside because cooking outside is just so much more fun than cooking inside. Let's start cooking. Okay, so really there's two components when you're making a proper veal parmigiano, the sauce and the meat. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tackle my sauce. Super simple, onion, some garlic, and a little bit of passata. So the first thing we're gonna do is crush our garlic. So I really wanna get the garlic nice and finely chopped. Then, gonna take a little bit of olive oil, just right over that garlic. Then I'm gonna take a little bit of salt, put that over as well. What you do is you kind of make a paste with that. So you just keep chopping the garlic into that oil and into that salt. Okay, so that's gonna just chill right now. Now we're gonna do the same thing with an onion. I'm only gonna use about a half an onion. Don't need to use too much onion on this. Wonderful. We're gonna get the cast iron right on the barbecue. Gonna take a little bit of olive oil, turn your barbecue up, and allow the cast iron to gradually come to temperature with your barbecue. That way it doesn't just shock the oil or the garlic too much. If you put it in right now in a super hot cast iron, you might see it burn instantly. The oil is to temp. I'm gonna throw them right in the cast iron. You want to literally hear that sear, that sizzle, that beautiful pop of flavor. Now I'm gonna throw my garlic in there as well. And you just don't want them to sit too long. So I put some passata in a measuring cup. There's always a little bit of leftover sauce kind of in the jar. You don't want to waste that. You want to get a little bit of water, shake it off, get it all down there. And what I like to do is get a little bit of that tomato water in your cast iron first. You really want that garlic and onions to pick up all that liquid. You actually don't want the liquid to remain in the pan. And once they're nice and translucent and soft, you can add your passata. I'm gonna now go ahead and add the rest of our passata. Lots of goodness in that measuring cup, so make sure you have a spoon to get it all out. Give that a stir. So if you have a little bit of that tomato water left, use that to just grab any residual tomato passata that's in your measuring cup, get it around, and then add that to the pan. You always need to add a little bit of liquid to your sauce regardless, because the heat is constantly reducing it and reducing it and reducing it. It's helping remove some of the acidity from the tomatoes and allows that over time, it doesn't burn on you because there's liquid that allows it to continue to reduce. A little bit of salt to the pan, and I'm gonna give that one more stir. I'm gonna let that cook in the barbecue on a lower temperature. Okay, so now we're gonna tackle the veal. Sometimes you see people take a veal cutlet, you always want it nice and thin. That's the number one thing. Veal cutlet has to be thin. Sometimes you see people pounding it out with a hammer. I gotta say, slight overkill. All you really need to do to tenderize your veal is get a little salt on there. Salt is a natural tenderizer. Grab a fork, and the fork can just start to break down the meat. So again, I'm just gonna add a little salt. Do it on both sides, just like sun tanning. Can't just do one side. Okay, so now we have some tenderized veal. So now we're gonna do our breading station. Flour, all-purpose flour, egg yolk, and some seasoned breadcrumbs. It's very important to use some tongs. That way your hands aren't getting all covered in flour and egg and breadcrumbs. You want to keep nice clean fingers. That nice and buried. Okay, it's nice and covered. So now the veal is just going to go right into that oil. Now keep in mind, the more veal to that oil, the more it will bring the temperature of your oil down. So it's so important to make sure that your oil is to temp when you put your veal in. Just gonna give that a nice little flip. Now we're gonna let those cook. Okay, so we got a nice brown sear on all the veal. A little fresh lemon on the veal. Just brings out a little bit of freshness, a little bit of nice flavor to it. I'm gonna bring my pan to the sauce, and then the veal is gonna go in the sauce, just like so. You want the sauce to cover the veal. Okay, so now the veal's had a chance for about 10 minutes to cook in that sauce. That sauce is just kind of penetrating the meat, slowly breaking it down. I'm gonna add my fresh mozzarella going down on the cutlets. And then we're gonna throw a little parm on top as well. A little parmigiano. Give that another close for a couple minutes just to let the cheese melt. Got some fresh basil here, or basilico. Really all you're doing is taking your basil, smashing it into a little handful here. Use your finger to guide, and you're just gonna make these really nice thin cuts. Hopefully the wind doesn't blow it away. And then the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our buns ready. So we got a nice little Kaiser bun. Cut it in half. I'm gonna throw these Kaisers on the upper deck of the barbecue just to get a little toasting on them. Gonna sprinkle that fresh basilico or basil right over top. All right, the buns are nice and toasted. I'm just gonna place that on the cutting board. I'm gonna take our jar of chilies and oil. I'm gonna do one spicy, one not spicy. I find the chili oil just really brings out that veal in a nice, flavorful way. So now I've got chili oil top and bottom here. I've cut these cutlets in half here so they fit on the bun. There we go, 1 and 2 stacked on top, just like so. Here's the trick to cutting it. We're gonna go a little old school. Got a little bit of parchment paper, okay? So you're gonna take your sandwich, you're gonna actually wrap it up, you're gonna fold it, and then you're gonna cut it while it's wrapped. Way less messy, and oh, Maron, look at that sandwich. Well, there you have it, folks. Another sandwich in the bag. Because I love sandwiches, you love sandwiches. I'm on hiatus, so I'm cooking outside. Cheers. That's a home run, by the way. Couldn't tell. Anyways, thanks so much for hanging out. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, send a comment down below. What's your favorite sandwich? Have I made it yet? Maybe not? Who knows? I miss you. Enjoy. So good.